Turn up the beat and make me go psycho. Turn up the beat and make me go psycho.
I bet that's not anywhere near what you thought you were going to get in the start of this video. Welcome, coaches. I just wanted to set a fun tone, something a little bit more upbeat. I really want the message to hit home from what we're going to talk about today. So welcome, coaches. Whether you're new or whether you've been here for a long time, I think this is going to be valuable information for all of us because I want to portray the things that we value, what is really important to us, how we can take Club B, Salt City Boys to the next level, and how we can be that club across the country that everyone wants to be a part of, everyone wants to mimic, and we set a tone that is wonderful. Think back to why you play volleyball, and I bet it's a little bit like that song. It's fun, it's upbeat, and the reason you do it is because it brings joy into your soul. If you didn't like that music, then you have no joy in your soul. I am sorry. Everyone likes a little bit of a techno beat. Okay, so moving on. Let me start with this. We started with nothing. Matt and I started like 20 years ago now as nothing. And I was doing some training and I had some clients who found out that I had played volleyball and they're like, hey, will you do some vert training for my kids? And so I was like, yeah, absolutely. Let's do some vert training. So we got their kids' verticals better. Do you do some private lessons? Sure. We can absolutely go do some private lessons. Did them in a church. And then they're like, hey, have you ever wanted to coach girls club volleyball? Absolutely not. No interest. That sounds terrible. I got a phone call every single day. I kid you not, for an entire year, people asking me if I would coach girls volleyball. Finally, what happened is I said yes, and it was a lot of fun. But we weren't very good. We were like middle of the pack. And I was like, if I'm going to do this again, we want to go out and get some talent. And then I brought in Matt, and we decided that we want to turn this into a legitimate, fun business. And we got to the point where we were renting in junior highs, and we would get kicked out because the junior highs needed the space. And we were obviously the last people who had the right to be in the gym. So they would just kick us out, and we hated that. So we decided to take a leap of faith. We wanted to open our own facility, have a place we could train all the time. And we had $0 to our name. And we tried so hard to find money from banks, somebody who would give us some cash in order to start this club volleyball business. And we got turned down by I think 50 banks. It was hilarious. And ironically, a local company decided to take a risk on us, and the rest is history. We started with 3 courts, then it went to 5 courts, and then it went to auxiliary buildings. And then in 2016, we wanted to have a facility in Utah that could be a tournament facility because everyone was just renting from these tiny little 3-court facilities or whatever, trying to run tournaments, and it was just not that great. And so we wanted to take the plunge and have a bigger place, a bigger home for athletes where they could come and play and where we could offer more, so on and so forth. And here we are today, and we started literally with one team, and now we have thousands of athletes walking through our doors. And this is why it's so exciting, because the journey of what it took to get here is the journey that every single Club V and Salt City athlete needs. And we need to be the people who can inspire that in them. So without further ado, let's dive into it. Our why. This is very important. We believe in unlocking human potential. Think of every single athlete as a piece of clay, and you are the artist. If you're a coach and you're not an artist, you're doing the wrong thing. We're not here to manage people, to manage athletes and expect them to do good. I can't tell you enough times where a kid comes in a trial, you're like, oh, they're not very good, I'm not going to put them on my team or whatever the case is. No, you need to see them as a piece of clay, something that you can mold, something that you can turn them into. When you are the coach that can mold athletes, every single player in the state, in the country will want to play with you because they will see what you turned some average kid who came in with not a lot of skill. They'll see what they turn into and they will associate that to you. So that has to be your mentality. When you start off, you want to take on the toughest cases. You want to say, that's the kid right there, the one nobody wants that I want to coach, and I'm going to turn them into something unbelievable. And it'll be hilarious because everyone will be like, oh yeah, they were always good. And that's the club via lore, is we take kids that were not that good and everyone believes that they were always awesome until we show them early videos of that kid. And then all of a sudden people are like, holy cow, look at where this kid came from. That's what we do here. So that's what unlocking human potential means. We take them from a place that nobody wants and we turn them into somebody that everybody wants. And now everybody in the world is trying to poach and steal our kids and do whatever the case is. But we have to be so good and so masterful that kids just don't want to leave. And this is why we're doing this, is because I think we've lost a little sight of who we are, what we're meant to do in order to help kids. Okay, we believe in pushing the boundaries of our own limitations as coaches, and we help our athletes do the same. We believe everyone has a sleeping giant of possibility within them. That's what you have to see. If you don't see potential in a kid, you're not looking in the right places. Everyone, I don't care where they are, has something we can pull out of them. And those are the magic stories. Those are the things that people love to hear and they want to be here for. The mission: ignite the curious, develop the committed, refine the obsessed. Pretty simple. Mission principles. So now, understand this. We believe in living principles. We think in principles, we live principles. We know what to identify, and we know how to go to work. If you know what all of our principles are and how those things work, your eyes will be understanding of what we're looking for. And when people don't live the principles, your job is to help them live the principles. When you're not living the principles, your job is to live the principles. Number one, ignite the curious. Why would an athlete return? Number one, it's fun. The game is enjoyable and addicting. Remember when volleyball became addicting for you? It was the most beautiful thing that's ever happened. We need to make this game fun and addicting. Connection, friends, bonds with coaches, right? They want to feel like this is their home away from home. That's one of the things that I think we have pushed away from just a little bit as coaches. This generation, sometimes it's hard to really be there for those athletes and their parents because we feel like they're pushing back or whatever the case is. But there's a sense of connection here that we need to establish where it feels like home, but it feels like a place where we grow, we develop, we compete, all of it. Belief. If you believe in the athletes, right, you're going to be encouraging, you're going to challenge them, and you're going to be truthful in your validation of them, right? We're not going to give them blind compliments like, oh, you're so great, when they're not proving that they're great. We're going to be truthful. So when we validate, when we compliment, it feels like the best win. I received a letter from the mom of an athlete, and in that letter, she said her daughter would do anything for the Reed clap. Apparently, I do this thing where I do this slow clap and kind of give them a nod or whatever. Yeah, and if you've been around me, you guys probably know what they're talking about. But she loved it and she worked hard because she knew when she got the clap, she was awesome and it was real. And that's what we can do for a lot of these athletes. Give them that sense of you did it. Develop the committed. After an athlete decides they are committed, what needs to happen to increase their level of commitment? This is so important because it comes down to being committed. I mean, before you can do accountability, you have to do commitment. You're going to hear that so many times. Before you can offer any form of accountability, first you've got to get their commitment. Okay, number one, potential. If they can see the possibilities of who they can become being coached by you, and you have a progression plan for them, they are going to buy in and they're going to commit to you immediately. If you don't have that for them, why would they commit to you? Why would they commit to us? Why would they want to be here? You've got to show them what they don't see. And that's part of being the artist, is that you see a bigger picture way more than they're capable of seeing for themselves. Courage. They've got to be willing to face their discomfort. We guide them through it with patience, understanding, and logic. Let me go back to that first one. We guide them through it with patience. It's so hard to be patient when an athlete is not doing what we need them to do. And then from there, we help them understand, we offer the logic, and then we grow together. We must help them be courageous, get out of their comfort, and do things they've never done before. Once they start doing things they've never done before every single day, that becomes their habit. And then they'll take on any challenge, and you'll see it'll catch up really fast. Repetition, we teach them how to deliberately practice. It is so important to understand the formula of deliberate practice. Okay, so we give them a purpose, we help them concentrate on it, and then they have to have self-awareness. We are building neural pathways. When people say, what is the definition of hard work? It's creating the neural pathways required to succeed in your objective. That's it. We need to help them build neural pathways. We do that through deliberate practice. We repeat not until we get it right, but we repeat until we can't possibly get it wrong. That's your job as a coach. And you've got to help them want to be engaged in deliberate practice and interested in deliberate practice long enough to where they can't fail. So yeah, that takes an artist. That takes somebody who's patient. That takes somebody who paints a bigger picture, who helps people understand what it's for. Refine the obsessed. How do we help obsessed athletes master their abilities? Details, details, and details, right? We must provide them with the logical and measurable information they currently don't have or understand. When you start filling in some details for every single athlete, that hooks them. They're like, I had no idea. Remember, they have these aha moments. They're already committed. Now they're obsessed. They need an aha moment. What happens when you give them some information that blows their mind, that opens up their entire understanding of how this game is played? That is a beautiful moment that you want to be a part of. And that athlete will take that and they'll remember that and they'll always put it back on you. Yeah, my coach helped me see the world this way. And as soon as I understood this concept, changed everything for me. High expectations. There are specific principles and standards which align them with measurable success. We need to create measurables so that they know where they're starting and where they need to go. We've got to show that. If we don't have measurables, how do we know if they're getting better? We could tell them they're getting better, or we could show them that they're getting better, give them something to work for. Okay, and then high accountability. So there's full ownership and responsibility to live the principles and live up to the standards. Okay? They need to know if they are living the standards. And when they are living those standards, we need to increase those standards. That's the hardest thing. Sometimes we don't give them the next challenge. Remember, we've got to challenge them every single day. If they're living the standards, make the standards harder. If they're not living the standards, let's get them to live the standards. Our values: believe you can, do what you say, own your outcome, and better together. Okay? The value principles of believe you can. How do we increase belief in ourselves and our athletes? Remember, ourselves as well, you guys. Ourselves as well. We need to invest in ourselves. If we don't invest in ourselves, why would athletes invest in us? So if you walk in and you're the coach you are today and you're not 100% better by the end of the year, you didn't invest in yourself. You didn't push the needle, move the needle for yourself, right? If you're still doing the same thing you were doing 10 years ago as a coach, you failed to invest. You got the same value that you had 10 years ago. Remember, when kids will drive any distance to play for you, when they are like ecstatic to play for you, you know that you're doing the right thing. And we shouldn't have to convince people to play for you. They should want to, because they're like, the reputation of that coach, my experiences with that coach, watching what that coach has done with their teams is unbelievable. Okay? So we help them build confidence. So gain knowledge, give them the information. We help them practice it until they make it a habit. Okay? We help them know what they can do, and we help them test those boundaries. Right? Confidence is not necessarily a feeling, it's knowledge. What can you do? Cause and effect. So we live in a physical world, right? And you cannot avoid the cause and effect. Volleyball is governed by angles and force. And so our knowledge of cause and effect within the realm of angles and force can ultimately guide every single athlete to think appropriately and act appropriately on the volleyball court. If they're thinking in angles and force and not necessarily in how they're feeling about everything, they're going to do a lot better. Remember, you may not feel like getting your platform to the target, but if your platform's to the target and the ball hits off your platform, it is going to guide the ball that way. So when we can think in terms of cause and effect, we have the ability to cause the desired effect. And that is incredible to watch an athlete deliberately think logically about what they need to do with their body to create the appropriate angle and force to make a play on the volleyball court. And when you can see it happening all the time, oh my gosh, you now have given these athletes a thinking model, a mental model that is going to take them to the highest level that they can possibly be if they're willing to stick with it and to improve upon it. And that's what we do in practice. Make sure that they can think in cause and effect and get their bodies to do it. It's not about them. Volleyball is going to exist with or without them. But if you can get them to think about the cause and effect of the game over themselves, everything changes. And it's a beautiful, 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 beautiful thing. I know I said that word way too many times, but it truly is amazing when athletes shift their mentality. Perspective. How we see our circumstance, ourselves, and athletes, it determines the choices they're going to make, and it's going to help them essentially become a better version of themselves. If they only see themselves from their perspective and we can't offer them a greater perspective, they're going to remain as they are. When we can start offering them a greater perspective and we can help them shift a little bit, that is amazing. You also need to see where they're coming from as a coach. We tend to see things our way, do it my way, do it my way. But when you can understand where they're coming from, you can help them more because you can adapt the message to them. You will know how to layer things and how to guide them into a different place, right? Until we know where somebody's coming from, how do we deal with them, right? You don't deal with them from where you are, you deal with them from where they are to help them to get to where you are. And that's a tough thing, and it does take a lot of perspective, which means we have to be willing to listen. And when we can understand where somebody is coming from, it allows us to do a better job of guiding them the right way. Do what you say. How can we make follow through a habit for ourselves and our athletes? Now, this is a tough thing in life. Doing exactly what we say we're going to do is not the easiest thing in the world. And sometimes we overcommit ourselves. We think we can. Our athletes do the same thing. But we need to start being better at doing exactly what we say we're going to do. We do this first by conscientiousness. Being aware of and understanding the details necessary to succeed helps us to take better deliberate action. So the more conscientious we are, the easier it is to dial into the appropriate actions, the appropriate thinking, the appropriate feelings, all of it. It'll all come together. Discipline. Whether or not you feel like doing anything, you get it done. Okay? Habits don't require discipline. Remember, habits are unconscious. So we have to be so disciplined in order to create habits. And when habits are done, man, we are establishing a new flow. We are making the things that were really, really, really hard just part of what we do. And so we have to have a really strong will in order to do the things that we don't want to do, especially when we don't feel like it. I can't tell you how many times where kids walk in and you can tell they don't want to be there. And it's our job to help them remain disciplined despite how they feel. Reminders. It's easy to forget. And I know as a coach, we feel like we send this message and that the kids should remember it forever. Remember that one time on October 22nd in practice at 4:22, I said this thing and it was super impactful. And how dare you forget it? Guys, you're going to have to repeat yourselves so many times. It's unbelievable. That's the one thing I hear a lot from parents that are around, that are listening in lessons, that are listening in games, that maybe listen in practices. Yeah, sometimes parents are around for all those things. And they will always say, I cannot believe how many times you've had to repeat yourself. I'm sorry for my daughter, or I'm sorry for my son. That's just part of the game, you guys. We've got to remind them, right? Because the more we remind them, then our voice will be in their head and they'll start remembering on their own. And then they're able to do what they say they want to do. Own your outcome. How do we take full ownership of what is happening? Okay, first, we've got to create the appropriate narrative. You cannot outperform your identity. And the ego is in place to protect your identity. Need you to understand that again. You can't outperform the way you see yourself, and your ego is there to protect how you see yourself. So when our identity is being proven false or questioned, our ego is going to go to work to keep it intact by blaming, making excuses, attacking, pouting. I'm sure you've seen that with your athletes. They always have an excuse, or they feel sorry for themselves because they're trying to protect who they say they are, who they think they are. We do it the same thing. We get on a coach, maybe they're not doing who they think they are, right? And a parent complains and they're like, how dare they, and all this stuff. It happens. We're gonna mess up. We're probably gonna do something that people don't agree with. And that's okay, because we have the ability to be wiser, stronger, and we can rectify situations that are wrong. And sometimes we're just misaligned with people. We may not ever get on the same page, and that's okay too, as long as we are living our values, we are living our standards. Sometimes people are not going to live up to them. We want to give them the invitation. We want to stay there with them. We want to offer as many invitations as we possibly can. And sometimes it's just not the right situation, but you need to know at the end of the day, you did everything you could. Okay. And so when we start creating a better narrative, it aligns actions with our big goals, but allows for feedback and understanding, transforms failure into success and infinite betterment. So people always ask, like, well, how do we do that? What is that? So I'm in pursuit of being a better coach by my willingness to learn, my ability to see and work on my shortcomings, and my ability to adapt in my execution until it's right. When that's how we see ourselves, we're always going to get better. When our athletes can say things like, I'm the best at getting better, they're going to show up and they need to get better. That's what our ego does. Our ego functions on needs, not wants. You have to understand that. Needs, not wants. So when we have the right messaging, we need to live up to that message. And if it's a message of growth and betterment and valuing and accepting feedback, ourselves included, then we will always take that feedback as a gift and not as criticism. Okay? Resilience, the ability to withstand and recover from difficulties. It's getting tougher. So the same thing doesn't affect you the same way. I got blown up by my coach, and the second time that they did it, I learned, and it wasn't that big of a deal. Okay? And the same thing for us. We're going to get blown up by parents, guys. We're going to get blown up by refs. Things are going to happen. We're going to have moments. We need to be resilient as well. We need to get tougher in those situations. And there's always going to be storms, right? The storms aren't going to go away. We just need to be able to withstand them. We need to get a little bit tougher in those situations. What is the saying that the person who doesn't run away from the rain, who can dance in the rain, is able to be happy where they stand. The other thing too is we're going to be dealing with athletes and who are going through these moments where they're having an identity crisis. They are not who they say they're going to be. And we need to be resilient in recognizing that and and that people will act the way they're going to act when they're in identity crisis. They're going to protect themselves. And sometimes that's blame shifting. Sometimes that's going on the offensive towards you or whatever the case is. We need to get resilient. We need to see those things, recognize those things, and have an answer of what we can do. Commitment first, then accountability. When we are fully committed to living our responsibilities and owning our responsibilities within our role, we are going to do a better job if things don't go as planned. True commitments sees things through, and it is our goal to make things better. Okay? And by making things better, it's going to create more responsibility, and that has to be welcomed. So when we are coaching, for example, we could say, I'm committed to helping each athlete on my team do a proper 4-step approach. And when an athlete fails, they don't get it done, you should be able to say that you exhausted every single resource in trying to help them. By doing so, they grow. By doing so, you grow. So just remember, we are committed first, and then we have accountability, because when people understand what they're doing it for, they will allow somebody to hold them to a standard. If they don't know what they're doing it for, if they're not fully committed, you can't hold anyone accountable. There's no skin in the game. They've got to have a strong enough why. And if they do, the accountability will become part of the game. It'll be part of what you do on a regular basis with them. And that's fun. That's an awesome place. They won't get their feelings hurt as bad. And they'll look at you in the eyes and they'll say thank you and all the other stuff. Better together. How do we increase our willingness and ability to work together? Number one, unity of purpose. When we have a clear understanding of what we are trying to accomplish, we can align our efforts in thought, feeling, and action. Pretty simple, right? If everyone on your team knows what they're trying to accomplish together, they can align, right? The work will look consistent. The work will be unified. Their thinking will be unified. Their feelings will be unified. All of it will come together. Collaboration. When we work together to build and create, accomplishment follows. Learning how to own your role and to merge it with others strengthens bonds and allows for feedback and improvement. Okay? We are way stronger together than we are by ourselves. And so when we can collaborate with our team, it's a whole lot better. Often we have to have the conversation that with our players, we want to be their colleagues. We don't want to be their bosses. We want to work with them. They don't work for us. And sometimes, we have that boss employee type relationship. That's not what we're trying to do. We want to work together. We're colleagues in this thing. Yes, I have a perspective of a coach. They have a perspective of a player. But when those two worlds merge, it's awesome. Appreciation. When we feel appreciated, we're more likely to want to be around and work hard for others. That's just how it goes. Think about that. If we don't feel appreciated, we look for places where we do. So when people offer that for us, it's feels good, and we'll go to where we are appreciated. And so if your players don't feel appreciated by you, they're going to look for other people. They're going to look for that appreciation somewhere else. And we get that on our side as well, right? And sometimes coaching, like being a parent, sometimes is a thankless job, and we're not always appreciated to the level. And so we as Club V administrators, we recognize that it is a thankless job, and we recognize that we need to do a better job to know how much we do appreciate you and that we are there for you. And the more we can do that together as an organization, this thing is going to flow way better. We're not going to feel like we're intruding, and there's going to be a lot more learning and collaboration because we'll feel comfortable and confident to approach the people that can help us. And again, it's a lot more fun to be around people who appreciate you than people who don't. Right? Our TTPMC model. This has been the thing that we focused on, since day one. Right? In sports, there are 5 categories that we believe that are instrumental in helping anyone get better: the technical, the tactical, the mental, the physical, and the character side. Most people don't actually talk about the character side. But we do truly believe that the character side is a huge piece of this. If you don't have a deep character, then you're probably not going to get along with people on your team. The way you do things might be shallow instead of deep and meaningful. We're a lot more. Life is a lot more fulfilling when we have depth of character. Technical skills. The movements required to perform a skill correctly. By understanding the principles of each skill, you can easily identify what parts of the skill broke down. We then help athletes understand how to implement the processes of the skill and put them together so they work efficiently with rhythm and coordination. It's pretty simple that way. If you know what you're looking for as far as the skill principles, you can help anyone. And then we can offer them the tools required to make things work better. Okay? Passing. We're just going to go through this really fast. Okay? The ball will go towards the target if the passer's platform angle is facing the target. Pretty simple. The ball will go off of the passer's platform, which is facing the target, if the passer moves to bring the ball to their platform angle, which is facing the target. The ball will land at the target if the ball peaks in the middle between the passer and the target. So when you are evaluating a passer, one of those three things, if the ball doesn't get the target, broke down. Maybe two things broke down. Maybe their platform angle wasn't on target and they didn't move their feet the best way, right? And so we can identify these things very simply. So instead of being like, oh, your wrist and hands and whatever things went down, we look at what part broke down first, and then you can offer the tools within that principle. I'm telling you, if you can see the world this way, and if you can teach your athletes to think this way while they're on the court, things escalate and go way better, faster. Serving. Okay. A ball that floats is tougher to pass than a ball that spins. A ball that floats to the right zone direction is even tougher to pass. A ball that floats to the right zone direction and lands in the right depth is the toughest ball to pass. So as a coach, you can evaluate, is that ball floating? If it's not floating, how do we help them get the ball to float? Can they serve the ball with float to the right zone, right to the right direction? And can we get them to serve the ball to the right zone and the right depth? Meaning, can we get it high? Can we get it low, drop, whatever the case is? These are the three things that we're looking for. And then if any of those break down, again, we can help them. Hitting. The ball hit into a high point with spin increases the probability of getting a kill. We're saying into a high point, not from a high point. Remember, we want to get as high as we possibly can. So when we're swinging up and into the highest point of contact, we can get the ball to spin. That is better than hitting down from the high point and getting blocked. The ball is number 2. The ball hit hard into a high point with spin increases the probability of getting a kill even more. Okay. And so we want to be able to add a lot of speed into that, which is the rotation. And we teach them the tools in order to load a hip, rotate, get into a chop, so on and so forth. The ball hit hard into a high point with spin, net range, and shot range increases the probability of getting killed the most. We care about the angle of approach, and we care about their ability to use their hip and their rotation and their hand and their chop in order to put balls where they need to put balls. Okay? Pretty simple stuff. Setting. The ball set to the right location increases the probability of getting an assist. Location, right? That's the first rule of anything, of business, real estate, all of it, right? If they can get the ball in location, that's super important. The ball set to the right location to the right hitter increases the probability of getting an assist more. Decision making. Do they know why they're setting somebody? Is there matchups? Is there flow going on? Is it part of the system? So on and so forth. Okay. Finally, the ball set to the right location to the right hitter from a neutral take with a quick release increases the probability of getting a kill the most. So we think about setting like an X, right? So you have the out angle and you have the back angle like an X. You take the ball in the middle of the X and you can release very quickly in the directions. Pretty simple. It makes it really hard for the blockers to identify where that ball's going to go. Lots of people are on one side of the X or on the other side of the X when they take the ball, even though it might be a good location into the right hitter, but we're just giving away too much information. Or it may be a really slow release, and if it takes too long to get the ball out of your hands, blockers can adapt, they can see it, they can move quickly. Digging. A player starting from base who plays within a system has a high probability of getting a dig. We've got to see if they're staying home. Lots of times you just watch and people have no idea where to stand. So wherever we're working on digging defense, they need to know where to be. They need to know where to be. That's probably one of the most crazy things is you'll hear coaches offer other digging advice and they ignore the fact that kids are not starting where they should be starting. Okay. A player starting from base who plays within a system and reads the hitter has a higher probability of getting a dig. Okay. I'm in base. I can see what's going on. That's going to be great. And then finally, a player starting from base who plays within a system and reads the hitter and makes the appropriate athletic defensive move has the highest probability of getting a dig. So they're starting the right spot. They see what's going on. They make the right move. That's going to make things happen. And so this is the progression of what we want to see. And so when you're evaluating, that's what you're looking for. And when you can identify these things, you can help people. If they lack a tool within any of those principles, you can help them. You know what to do with them. Blocking. A player in good alignment has high probability of getting a block or block touch. Just being in the right spot. A player in good alignment that is pressed over the net has a higher probability of getting a block or a block touch. Right? That's the one thing that we see probably happen the least, and you have to remind them the most, is getting their hands over net. Press. I can't tell you how many times I've said the word press in my coaching career. It's a lot. A player in good alignment that is higher and pressed over has the highest probability of getting a block or a block touch. Right? The more athletic they add to that, the better things are going to work out. Okay, so moving on, the tactical. When technical skills are learned and performed well, your ability to implement strategy using your skills increases your effectiveness in the game. Okay, so tactical understanding, that's reading the play and decision making, understanding roles within offensive and defensive systems. Pretty simple. Does everybody know what they're supposed to be doing? Okay, and then you have the tactical execution side, reading into skill contact and fulfilling your roles within an offensive and defensive system. Okay, do the job. Do the job, do the job, do the job. Everyone has a job to do. Do the job. We have a job to do. Are we doing our job? Which might be helping our players on this side understand what is the strategy we're trying to implement. Okay, mental toughness and a success mindset. So mental toughness has the ability to focus and remain focused despite potential distractions. Distractions are the thing that kills us. Scary stat. A teenager has a distracting thought about every 3 seconds. And as an adult, we're not much better. It's like every 10 seconds we have a distracting thought. Squirrel, right? And we need to do better. We need to help people stay focused longer so they can stay in the moment. Okay, employ awareness, courage, and willpower to do hard things or things outside of our normal comfort. Pretty simple, right? Is that if they're aware and we're willing to do something that we don't ordinarily do or we don't want to do, we're gonna get tougher. Use evaluation and introspection to measure performance and identify areas of struggle. Okay, so evaluation number one, what happened? Introspection, what was I thinking when it happened? And then that can help us to identify what's going on. And if a kid is just thinking the wrong things, it's going to absolutely cause them to do the wrong things on the court, right? Consistently. And so we want to understand what's going on up here. Okay, success mindset. It creates a narrative that aligns action with our big goals, but allows for feedback and understanding, transforms failure into success and infinite betterment. Right? We talked about that before. Creates high expectations and then takes full ownership and responsibility for the accomplishment of that. Okay, and then we have to identify clear principles and implement those principles. And if we can live them and we can work extremely hard within those principles and we can appreciate those principles, things are going to work out better for us. Okay, and so these are the things that we are trying to help each one of our athletes develop. The physical side. Athleticism is the ability to move quickly in any direction from where you are and has 9 areas which increase its effectiveness. Now, the chance of getting all this stuff done over the course of every practice or whatnot is not going to be there, but we need to be aware of it and we need to help our athletes identify this so that they can start working on these things. So we have strength, we have speed. When you combine strength and speed, that's what power is. Okay. We have agility, your ability to move quickly. Okay. It's not a straight line, it's your ability to go off that line quickly. Coordination, getting multiple body parts working together. Flexibility, that's your range of motion. A lot of athletes get injured because their range of motion is not there. Endurance, man, kids get gassed out today so fast. Vision, how good are their eyes? There's a lot of things people can do to improve their eyesight, to improve their visual cues. Remember, things are cue to response. The better we have our eyes, the more we know what we're looking at, we can do better. Okay. One of the most important things college coaches tell us for freshmen going into college, we're saying, hey, what can we do better? This is an overwhelming response, is that if we can get their eye work down better, okay, and part of that is knowing what to look at, and part of that is just seeing things, more clearly, being able to put our attention on the right things. And that's what they say, is that if we can get kids to get their eye work better, they go into college more prepared to play. Okay, nutrition. Man, kids eat terrible. We know this. Most of us probably eat terrible too. And so we need to give them an understanding of what that is, right? These kids, they're jumping a lot. Their joints are getting beat up. Most kids don't have enough macronutrients of the right things in their lives. So we need to help them understand a little bit of that. And then rest and recovery. Teenagers have to sleep like 8 to 10 hours. They have to sleep. And so a lot of their time, they're not getting that. And so they come in, they don't feel great. Their performance suffers, that kind of stuff. Recovery, icing, whatever the case is. Ice baths are like the most beautiful thing in the world to get kids to get inflammation down and get their nervous system a little bit more ramped up, that kind of stuff. Okay. So super important things for us to identify with athletes. Character. It's not just about the things we do, but who we are in the process of doing them. So we believe in 5 areas of character. I mean, there's so many more than this, but there are 5 that we like to focus on. Number 1 is integrity. Okay. Be honest with yourself, be honest with others, do the right thing. Okay. It's super important. And we cannot say that enough. Kindness. Just be nice, right? Mondo, if you're listening, be a nice person. He always says it, right? He has a t-shirt that says, be nice, be a nice person. Just be a nice person. I love it. And so kindness is important, guys. It goes a really long way with our athletes, with our parents. Yes, there's going to be moments where we're holding kids accountable and we're going through the things, but doesn't mean we have to be jerks about it. We can still be kind and delivering appropriate feedback. Empathy. I think this is one of the skills that is lost among humanity. Okay. Can you put yourself in the other person's shoes so you can really understand what's going on with them? Okay. Curiosity. It might have cured the cat or killed the cat, but it definitely made us a whole lot better at volleyball. And curiosity is one of those things that if we get athletes who are curious, we get coaches who are curious, they get better, they get outside their current levels. And determination. This is like one of my favorite things. If you ask anyone, okay, what is the best training mentality to have? It has to be determination, which basically states whether you do it right or wrong, you do it again. So you do a great attempt, you're going to do that great attempt twice. You do it wrong, you're not going to repeat the same wrong thing twice. You're going to figure out how to do it right. And so people who walk in who are determined, man, they move mountains. They do incredible things. So we believe in it wholeheartedly. And you've got to help your athletes understand that when they show up to practice, determination is who they are, is what they're going to do. Curiosity. Okay. That's goes without saying. In conclusion, we made it. You made it this far. And we're so excited that you made it this far. We're so excited that you're a part of this with us. So a few thoughts. Imagine the difference you can make in your own life and the lives of your athletes if you understand, implement, and appreciate this roadmap of principles. As this is a lifetime of volleyball coaching, a lifetime of information, and it is readily available to you. Take these things, make them your own, live them. Man, it's going to make your life better, and it's going to make the lives of your athletes incredible. It just does. You get rid of all the non-important things and you go right to what's important. When we align with truth principles, we are gifted the energy to see them through and ultimately gain the fulfillment of living them and seeing others live them. Guys, there's no way around it. When people are like, say, what do you mean a truth principle? It's like the concept of saving money, that you have to spend less than you earn, and you will get the result of that. And so when we teach people how to live these truth principles, they get the benefits, and you receive the benefits in a way that is very rewarding, right? How do I put that? When you're functioning from like love, you know what love feels like, and you offer love, and you get the benefit of love, and it's just a different energy, and we can help our athletes and ourselves live this way. We believe we are more than just volleyball coaches at Club E and at Salt City. We are truly the light filled with life-changing principles that every athlete needs. And maybe that's a little corny, whatever, but it's true. And these kids, they don't just see you as coach, they see you as so many more things. And so the way you are with them, the insight you offer them, the relationship you offer them means everything. And some of these kids, you have no idea what's going on in their lives outside of volleyball. Volleyball is the thing that gives them something to live for. And I can't tell you how many experiences we've had with kids like that. You can be the difference. Okay? We invite you to take part in this journey with us to change the culture in Utah. Okay? We need to be more. We need to stand for something better. That just goes without saying. I feel like the culture of volleyball in Utah is slipping, and we have an opportunity. We have the best opportunity to bring it back, to rein it back in. Get these kids working harder. Get these kids understanding what it takes to be a better version of themselves. We don't want entitlement. We don't want to make false promises. We want to show them the way so that our world has a group of people who know how to guide us through hard work, who know how to guide us because they went through the process and they understand it. They can teach it to others. That's who we are. And we need your help. Let's build a better culture. Remember, commitment comes first, and then the accountability. And are you part of the committed? That's my invitation. Commit today to being this coach, to being this person. Do it at Club V, do it at Salt City. And I promise you, you will have the best coaching experience you've ever had in your entire life. Hey, thanks for being here. I cannot wait to see what you do. We're here to help. We're here to guide. We're going to continue to educate. We're going to send you, we went through some of those skill principles. We're going to show you the tools. We're going to make videos. We're going to put out content. You're going to have to get used to, seeing this guy probably a little bit more on some of these things. But more and more importantly, we really do appreciate you stepping on this journey with us. And I can promise you that the feeling you get from helping somebody succeed within this sport, there's few things that are better than that. We'll see you soon.